Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'm going to walk you through how to get the Centramatic wheel balancers installed on the front wheel of a Honda Goldwing GL1800, and this will apply to Goldwings 2001 through 2017. Stay tuned to this video and I'm going to show you how I do it. So let's get started. So to get these things installed, and I'm working on the front wheel, you got two discs. Now on the 2018 through 2025 Honda Goldwings, you only have one disc. On models before 2018, you got two discs for the front. The rear wheel is always one disc, and that's from 01 through 2025. But in this video, we're working on just the fronts, and I'll include a link where you guys can pick these up. I highly recommend them. I've been using these things for about 10 years and they actually work really, really well. So the first step is removing the front wheel of a Honda Goldwing. For step-by-step instructions on how to remove the front wheel of a Honda Goldwing, you can click on the link and my video will walk you through how to remove the front wheel. But I already have the front wheel removed, and we have the front wheel sitting flat. I need to take off these brake discs. We got one on the right and one on the left side. So let's begin the process of taking off this brake disc. I find it easier to use an air gun. You can actually use a braking bar or whatever tool that you have in your arsenal. I'm just going to use my air gun, and I'm going to have my setting on the lowest setting. I'm using a 6mm. I'm using a 6mm. I'm using a 6mm Allen to remove these bolts. So I'm going to take my air gun, make sure that I'm on the lowest setting, and I'm just going to bump it in reverse. Here we go. Nice and easy. Just kind of bump it. Make sure you got a good bit. You don't want to do any stripping, so bump it out. And now I can remove these bolts. So we got the bolts out. They still have some thread locker already on the bolts. You can go back with some medium thread locker if you want to reuse the same bolts. Honda recommend that you change the bolts every time you take them out. I don't generally change mine. I'll just reuse them, and you can use some medium strength thread locker, the blue, if you want to go back with some thread locker. So we're just going to lift up the disc. I'm just going to set this to the side. Now keep in mind, these discs are the exact same on the front, so it don't really matter whether you put one on the right or on the left. They're the same. On the new style Honda Goldwing, they're only giving you one disc. So you're going to take the disc, you're going to flip it upside down. You're going to line it up with those holes. Don't forget to put your rotor back on. It's easy to forget to put the rotor back on until you realize that your bolts are already in. So just make sure that you put your bolts back on. If you would like, take a little bit of medium strength thread locker. Don't use red, just medium strength only. Just put a dab of medium strength. Again, the Honda says to change those bolts every time you remove them. I just use a little bit of thread locker just to ensure that they're tight. A little bit goes a long way. Tighten that down. And at this point, I like to just take my T-handle and just tighten them in. Being careful not to cross thread them. I don't use my air tool to put the bolts back in. So now that I have the rotor bolts tightened down to what I think is tight, I'm going to take my torque wrench and tighten those rotor bolts back down to 22 foot-pounds. Make sure I'm set on foot-pounds, and I'm just going to tighten them back down to 22 foot-pounds. If you guys missed the video where I talked about this, you can click on the link in the top corner and just tighten those rotor bolts back down to 22 foot-pounds. And just use your torque wrench and verify that you have torqued these rotor bolts back down to 22 foot-pounds. So now that I've completed one side, I'm going to flip it over and we're going to do the other side. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to do the same procedure. I'm going to take my air gun, make sure I'm at the lowest setting, the low setting, and then bump it out. Be nice and gentle. You don't want to break this thing. You hate to break the bolts down inside of the threads, so just bump it out. Be nice and gentle and use the lowest setting on an air tool. Nice and easy. Take my T-handle and I'm going to just take these on out. Okay. Set those to the side. Lift up on the brake rotor. Just set that to the side. Take your new Centramatic wheel balancer face down. Take the brake rotor. Go back over the Centramatic. I like to use a little bit of medium thread locker, just a dab. You want to hand tighten these in. Do not air tool these things back in. You do not want to cross thread. A little bit goes a long way. And that's the thing about working on your Goldwing. You have the satisfaction of knowing that you performed your own work and you know it's performed right. A lot of times with these shops, you don't know if they have an inexperienced person working on your bike. You want to make sure that you have a well-experienced technician working on your Goldwing. And while you have the front brakes off, since you removed the wheel, that's a good time to check your front brakes and verify if you need any brake pads. Take your hand tool I'm using a 6mm Allen, and I'm just going to tighten this down in an X pattern, just like so. Just tighten them down. Just kind of tighten them down in the next pattern. I love these Centramatics because once you install these things, you don't have to worry about having your wheels balanced. So tighten those down. And what I generally like to do is tighten them down to where I think they need to be. Just get a feel of the tightness. Tighten those down. And now I can go around and check each one. Verify that they're nice and snug. Now Honda calls for these rotor bolts to be torqued down at 22 foot-pounds. So take your torque meter or your torque wrench or whatever you use to verify your torque settings and tighten these bolts down to 22 foot-pounds. I'm using a Cobalt. Pick this thing up and got a very good deal on it. I will include a link where you can pick up a digital torque wrench like I'm using here in this video. So this is going to complete my video on how I install the Centramatic wheel balancers on a front wheel of a Honda Goldwing. And again, this applies to Honda Goldwings 2001 through 2017. And remember, 2018 through 2025 only has one disc on the front. On the rear, from 2001 through 2025 is all one disc. So let me know what you think. Drop it in the comment section below. If you like this video, click the like button. If you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I'll see you a little bit later out here in the Caliente garage.